Today's guest for the Rockhouse Mag is one individual who can be summarised in 3 words, and that is Australian rock royalty. Dave Evans was the original vocalist of AC/DC and went on to join the Glam icons in Rabbit. Dave has also forged his own successful solo career and continues to tour the world to sold-out concerts. Dave Evans, welcome to the Rockhouse. How are you, mate?
I'm good, and thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no, we're so excited. Mate, you're so hard to track down. Where are you at the moment?
At the moment, I'm in Buenos Aires in Argentina. I'm in the middle of a Latin American tour at the moment. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Plus a lot of other things.
Yeah, fantastic. How is that working out for you, the tour down there?
It's unbelievable. I couldn't even begin to describe what it's like here. It's just incredible. It'd be difficult to put into words, to tell you the truth. They treat me like royalty, of course, and the crowds just go nuts. And it's hard to explain without sounding like I'm up myself. You know what
I mean? Oh, that's good to hear. We'll talk about what's going on in Argentina very soon, but let's go back in time. You were born and bred in Wales, but moved to northern Queensland. What's your earliest memories from there?
Well, Townsville, that's where we settled first up, and of course the great Castle Hill that's right there, overlooking Townsville. It's very impressive. And of course, I was used to the castles in Wales before I left, and New South Wales itself, which was all of the east coast of Australia at one time, was called New South Wales by Lieutenant Cook. And he called it New South Wales because he did a lot of training in the original South Wales, where I'm from, and all the beautiful beaches in South Wales. That's why he called the east coast of Australia New South Wales. And of course, the castle there, that's what impressed me first when I went to Townsville, the beautiful beaches, etc. Same as Wales, where I'm from, South Wales. And then we moved west over the Great Dividing Range to a place completely different, now called Charters Towers. And that was very dry and completely different landscape to anything I'd ever seen before.
You then, as a young fellow, at 17 years of age, you moved down to Sydney, which is a pretty big move, but you fronted a couple of early bands called Pony and Velvet Underground.
Well, the first sort of not major band, first band that did anything, played a few gigs with a band called Django, actually, DJANGO, named after Django Reinhardt. I don't know why. It was the bass player's band, and he called it that. And then after that, Velvet Underground, which then became TMG, Ted Murray Gang. That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Herman and Les from TMG, they were in Velvet Underground. And of course, earlier than when I joined, who just left really, Malcolm Young also, who co-founded AC/DC with me. So
yeah. Well, we'll talk about AC/DC. You did meet Malcolm and co-found AC/DC.
Yes.
The first single, "Can I Sit Next to You, Girl," still gets heavy rotation here at my house, Dave. I love that.
It's very popular around the world, as a matter of fact. People love that, and it's amazing. And I'm saying I'm blowing my own trumpet, but so many fans say that's their favorite AC/DC song. In fact, Ross Young, Malcolm's son, told me when I first met him, he said my favorite AC/DC song, Uncle Dave, as he calls me, he said, is "Can I Sit Next to You, Girl." So it was the very first song we ever did, and I still do it in my set today, and the people just love that song. And at the end of that year, it was named on a compilation album as the best Australian group record of the year. So that was also fantastic as well.
Mate, being a vinyl collector, I'm after that vinyl collection. I have seen a copy, but the owner of that won't part ways with it. But,
there's a few around. I was lucky enough to get a copy. Somebody bought a copy and sent it to me, and so it's one of my prized possessions, of course.
Oh, fantastic! And it's the only album which it appears on too, I believe.
Yeah, although there is these bootleg albums, of course, but the authentic album, yeah, it was a compilation of the best songs of the year. That's international songs. It's an album called Get Ready, I think it's called, and it's Alice Cooper and all the greats are on there. And Can I Sit Next to You, Girl is also on there. And that's where it's named as the best Australian group record of the year. So
Yeah,
pretty good.
fantastic. From there, mate, you moved up to Newcastle and joined the glam icons in Rabbit. A reviewer at the time says Rabbit are fantastic in the glam lifestyle and also the hedonistic lifestyle. I was interested. What does a hedonistic lifestyle mean, mate?
Hedonistic, it's all about sex. And so Rabbit obviously was an apt name for the band, I can tell you. So you work it out for yourself.
Okay, we might leave that there for our PG audience, but fantastic. There's a couple of great releases as well from Rabbit, the self-titled debut in '75 and Too Much Rock and Roll in '76 with the single Wildfire. I saw the clip on YouTube the other day, mate, and that song still stands up today as being a great track. Too Much Rock and Roll.
I've started doing some Rabbit stuff again in my set, actually, because people around the world know Rabbit because everything's on the internet these days, and so all my fans all around the world, they're Rabbit fans as well. And so at the moment I'm doing Wildfire and no, I'm not doing Wildfire. At the moment I'm doing Heartbeat from the album, which they love.
Yeah,
and also Too Much Rock and Roll as well. So my fans, they love my music, they love AC/DC, and they also love Rabbit. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, mate, I was very chuffed to listen to both of those albums, and as I mentioned, they still stand up today. Too Much Rock and Roll was actually pretty massive in Japan and Europe. So as a young musician at that time,
and Wildfire too, Wildfire as well. So cool.
Yeah, how was it to start receiving that international success with it being big in Japan and Europe?
Well, it all comes as a surprise because like CBS Records was our label at the time. It's worldwide, and when they said, "Oh, hey, the record's doing well here and there overseas," we didn't realise what was going on, and of course we were all very, very happy. And it's great when I tour in Europe. Fans come along to my shows with the Too Much Rock and Roll album for me to sign, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And in the US, by the way, I've got US fans. They go to eBay whenever they can get hold of the album, either of the albums. I did a show in Miami not too long ago, and there was a whole group of fans there with the Rabbit album for me to sign. So that was really cool too.
Fantastic. You then move over to a band called Thunder Down Under, who had a release in '86, but you changed direction after that album and went into acting.
Yeah, it was the '90s. Grunge music was very strong in the '90s, and so for a lot of us, we didn't like grunge, and
No.
it just didn't happen. And in my humble opinion, the '90s was a non-event really, as far as music's concerned for me. So I went into acting at the time, which was great. I was in a few movies and did some theatre work as well. So and I sang every now and again as well. But the '90s was mostly acting because the music industry was mostly concentrating on grunge. So
yeah, it was indeed, mate. Not being a Neighbours fan, there is a rumoured appearance in Neighbours as well. Is that right?
No, it's one of those shows. I can't remember which one it was now, but yeah, something like that. I was an ambulance driver, or I can't remember what the hell I was, something or other.
Oh dear. Anyway, you're right with the '90s being a bit of hit and miss in terms of music, but you come back strong in the early 2000s, where you released some fantastic solo albums, starting off with A Hell of a Night in 2000, Sinner 2004. And Judgment Day in 2008, along with a number of EPs that have been released in that time.
Yeah, the Sinner album too, that was really acclaimed. I still do lots of songs from the Sinner album today. There's been quite a few different albums and CDs that I've done. Nothing to Prove was a great EP I did. Recorded that in England. I still do 3 songs from that EP now. And I recorded another CD or album, I can't remember, in Norway as well, with some real rockers up there. And in Texas too, with the great John Nitzinger, the legend, Texas rock blues legend and former Alice Cooper guitarist, who did the Revenge album, which got 5 out of 5-star reviews around the world and won 10 out of 10. So that was pretty amazing as well. And a couple of other albums too. I can't remember them all. I mean, as I said, I hate to sound up myself, but there's just so much been going on. And Australia, of course, never gets, hardly ever gets reported of my career whatsoever. I get ignored mostly by the Australian music industry, but that's okay. I'm not ignored by the rest of the world, so that's okay.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Definitely not. And you tour extensively, across the world. We find you down in Argentina at the moment, Texas. You're massive in Texas, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But the album with John Nitzinger, Revenge, was released in 2013, and the album really has that strong and venomous theme throughout, kickstarting with the Revenge single as well. Any meaning behind the venom with a lot of these songs?
No, not really. Revenge. It's really, everybody would love to get revenge, one way or another, with different circumstances, etc. So it's just a really cool song. Johnny wrote the song, and he just started strumming it with me on his acoustic guitar. So he's one for the album. If you like it, he only played like a verse and one chorus, but it's on the album. And I do it every time I perform. I do Revenge, and all around the world, and people absolutely love it. I just love that song. So.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's a great song. Your latest release, an EP, live on Fox Sports. Are you the only artist that I know of that's appeared on Fox Sports and done a 3-track set?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. My agent here in Buenos Aires, he set all that up. I've been on Fox Sport in quite a few different countries: Argentina, Mexico, Chile. They seem to like me. So Fox Sports, CNN as well. I've been on CNN a few times as well. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
That's amazing. The track itself, or the three-track EP, TNT, Sold My Soul to Rock and Roll, and Whole Lot of Rosie was thrown in there as well. So 3 classic songs. Also, an album with Thunderstruck, A Hell of a Night, back in 2000, which was a tribute to Bon on the 20th anniversary of his death. Did you have a close with Bon?
I knew him, of course. He used to hang around with us when we were touring. Excuse me. When we were touring in Adelaide, we had, Guys Next to Your Girl was top 10, and might have even been top 5 there. And our agent, who was touring us in South Australia, was in the Valentines with Bon Scott way back. So he introduced him to us, because they had recorded an old Easy Beats number called My Old Man's a Groovy Old Man, the Valentines. It was a sort of a minor hit for them, I think. So they knew the older brother, George Young. And so Bon wanted to meet us because, we had a hit record. And so Vince Lovegrove, he was our agent, who also sang with Bon in the Valentines. He introduced Bon to us, and he used to hang around with us. He was a fan of the band, of course, and he used to come and watch us play and hang with Malcolm and Angus, mostly because of the friendship with George Young. So I didn't know him very well, but he was hanging around us, and he was a funny little guy, and always cracking jokes and stuff like that. So that's how I met him. Yeah.
But it is a classic album, and I'll tell you what, your voice on those classic tracks, it goes to show that you do those songs fantastic justice, mate. So it's an awesome.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I had friends in Melbourne. I was living in Sydney at the time. I had friends in Melbourne who called me. I was living in Australia then, and said, "Oh, look, we're doing a tribute to Bon Scott on the 20th anniversary of his death." Oh, wow, really? I didn't even realise, it was that long ago. And they said, "Would you like to come down and just do a couple of songs with us? We'd pay your airfare down." And I thought about it. I thought, well, yeah, I didn't have anything against Bon Scott. And I said, okay, I'll think about it. which I did. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do something like this, it's pretty special. The original singer, co-founder of the band, doing it like a tribute to Bon, on his 20th anniversary of his death. I wanted it recorded, so I said to the boys, set it up with the best recording people in Melbourne, and I'll do enough songs to make at least an EP, a good EP, which they did. So I flew down to Melbourne, and it was an incredible night. It was a pub. We wanted to be in a pub. We were all pub bands back in those days.
Yeah.
And so it was packed. It was hot. It was 40 degrees.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was in bed for 3 days after the gig because I was so hot and dehydrated. I flew back to Sydney and I was in bed for 2 days. It was such a night. And when we were thinking about the album, it's a live album, and what to call it, I was lying thinking, that was a hell of a night. And I thought, hey, how about calling it a hell of a night, because it was, yeah. And that's how it became a hell of a night.
Yeah. Mate, just outside of the music industry, there's a couple of interesting things that have happened in your life. In Texas, you have a hamburger named after you. Tell me how that happened.
Well, actually, it's not Texas where I've got the hamburger named after me. It's actually, no, it's Colombia in South America. Yep, down there. And it's a chain of hamburgers, the best burgers in the world. Al Rock Burger, and they are fantastic burgers, I can tell you that. And everything else they make. And it's a great chain, fantastic. And I met the owners at one of the stores, and I did a meet and greet there actually for some reason, and signed all this stuff. And anyway, they invited me back and said, we have the Dave Evans burger for you, and which is amazing. And yeah. And of course, not only did I try the hamburger, they made me make it as well. They said, this is how you do it. They took me into the kitchen, put the apron on me, and the instructions from the chef. I made a couple of these burgers, and they filmed it all, of course. It's all filmed. It's in a commercial, actually, for Al Rock Burger. And it's amazing. And so, yeah, and of course, around Bucaramanga and other places, and Bogota, which is the capital, there's all these massive signboards everywhere, all over the place, with me going like this, Dave Evans Burger. So it was fantastic, really. And in Brazil, I've got the Dave Evans beer as well. Klein's brewery there. They brewed a really cool beer. It's a strong beer with a great malt taste. Yeah. And I tried that as well, which was great. So yeah, I've just been lucky to be, honored in this way.
Yeah, mate. I've seen some of those billboards. You keep very fit, mate. What's your fitness regime like?
Well, I don't drink anymore. I haven't been drinking for a long time. Not because I had a problem with drinking, but because I just wanted to keep fit. And because I tour a lot, I do lots of shows, one after the other, lots of different cities, and I just want to keep as fit as possible and to put on the best show every time I perform. It has to be the best show possible. So one is to do with respect for myself, and also respect for the fans. So that's the reason why I keep as fit as I can.
Yeah. Talking about fitness, there's also the Dave Evans fitness class, I believe.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me, actually. That's right here in Buenos Aires, and I'm staying in the suburb of Temperley here, and it's actually just around the corner. There's a big fitness center there, which I go work out sometimes. But the cycle class, they have there all the girls, most of the girls. They train to some of my songs. Badass Boys was one song I released last year, and they all sing it and clap their hands, and they took me to the class. The girls in there didn't realize I was coming, and I just walked around the corner, and they were all in there, and they all screamed. They saw me standing there, and it was fantastic, and they were all clapping and stuff like that. So it's just fun, it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Any chance to be doing a live gig while they do their fitness regime?
Well, I sang along with the song. They were playing the song at the
Yeah.
time, Badass Boys. So I stood there and I sang along with the song. They could hear me singing. Don't worry.
So you're currently in Temple, you mentioned. You also over the weekend became a life member of the local football club down there, Atletico Temple. That's a great honor.
Yeah, it is. That's a soccer club here. And I just happened to go to a game a little while ago with my agent who lives here. It's a local club, and they saw me there, and they put me on camera. They saw me, and and I've been to a few games, and they made a big fuss over me, going to the game, and so they awarded me life membership, an honorary member of the club now, and have a life membership of the club too. And in fact, this Saturday, a couple of days, I'll be doing a show at the Temple restaurant, just a acoustic show, just me and an acoustic guitarist, up close and personal in the Temple big restaurant there. So that'll be fun too.
Mate, it's fantastic, and obviously it's a testament to the amount of respect that you have due in both North and South America that you've been so successful and had all of these items named after you. So big kudos to you, mate. You spend most of the time in Texas though, and continue to sell out gigs.
I did.
Yeah. How do you find it?
I lived there on and off for about 10 years. Excuse me. In a place called Gun Barrel City, believe it or not.
Gun Barrel, Texas.
Yeah, it's just southeast of Dallas. And I was based there for 10 years, but I was traveling overseas, touring in Europe, and coming back to Australia too for a little bit, and going to South America. But I was based in Texas, and another great honor for me. I was made an honorary police officer for the Tenaha Police Department in East Texas. I've got my badge and all the rest of it, and it's a real title that I'm legally I can legally use that, honorary police officer. Dave Evans of the Tenaha Police Department, and I've got my badge and also identification card and all that kind of stuff. So that's another great honor as well from Texas.
Dave, being an avid fan of the Dallas Cowboys, I do have intentions of coming over to Dallas, so I think I better watch what I do when I'm over there. I don't want your next accolade to be arresting the guy from Rockhouse Mag. Anyway, how often do you get back to Australia, mate?
Not very often, really. I get back sometimes for a little bit of a holiday, but really all my work's overseas, and that's where my career is really these days.
Yeah.
But of course, you got to get back to get your head of Vegemite, as we all say. But yeah, it's true, and a few other things as well that you miss that the rest of the world just don't have.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, there's just certain things about Australia that is dear to your heart, and the rest of the world just cannot replicate.
No. You're obviously big in Europe as well, and get over there quite a bit to tour. You've had an amazing career. Everywhere you go, you get the accolades. What's next for you, though? What's next in the career?
Well, I've got a new single being released tomorrow called Guitar Man.
Wow.
It was the music was recorded in Denmark, and I recorded the vocals here in Buenos Aires. Put it together, and it was produced by Flemming Rasmussen, who produced 3 of Metallica's albums.
Yeah.
And he won a Grammy with one of Metallica's songs as well. He also produced Rainbow with Dio as well. So he's the producer of my new song coming out tomorrow, Guitar Man. And I've also just joined a fantastic show, Icons of Classic Rock. I'll start my first show with them in Mexico on the 28th of September. And they've got the original lead singers of different bands, from Loverboy and Santana and Foreigner, before Lou Gramm, and other great bands as well. Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, the singer from Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah.
So they're all great singers. There's 7 singers in the show, and I'm privileged enough to be one of those singers in the show Icons of Classic Rock. They're going to be doing a world tour. I've signed up for the first few shows at least. Anyway, I've got so much going on. So I'll be doing Panama and Venezuela and Mexico, and a few other places at the moment. But I've still got my own tours as well as that. So yeah, look, there's just so much sort of going on at the moment, and I'll be releasing later this year Heartbreak Hotel, the Elvis Presley hit record, which I've recorded almost faithfully to the way that AC/DC we did it originally. It was in our set. We did a sort of a hard rock version of Heartbreak Hotel, and the fans really loved our version. And when we actually played at the Sydney Opera House with Stevie Wright, the famous show we did there, the write-up of the show, when they spoke about us, because we were a new band, remember, they raved about us. And one of the mentions we got from was Heartbreak Hotel. I said, oh, well, you should hear AC/DC's version of Heartbreak Hotel. So, and we were tossing up about recording that for our first album. Before I split from the band, we were only halfway through recording our album when I split, and Bon Scott joined. So it's a song that the fans know. It's been written up. So I decided to record it pretty much the same way as we did it with AC/DC, because next year is the 50th anniversary of the band, and I just thought that I'd do that as a special recording for the fans, and also in conjunction with the 50th anniversary of AC/DC next year.
That's fantastic news. Where can fans find a copy of that?
Well, it hasn't been released yet. I've recorded it. It's Guitar Man comes out tomorrow, so I'll let that settle down for a while, and probably in a few months I'll release Heartbreak Hotel. And people, they know it's been recorded. It's been in the news all over the place, all over the world, and everybody's hanging out to hear that version, which is pretty much close to how we did it with AC/DC. So that the fans will have to wait for a little bit longer for that one. So
okay. I look forward to when it comes out, mate. That sounds like a fantastic project. Mate, one final question. You've just got so much on. You continue to tour. What can fans expect from a Dave Evans concert?
Well, they can expect to have a damn good time, I can tell you that. My concerts really, I do some of the early AC/DC songs that I used to do. I do my own badass rock, as it's called. I also do a couple of classic songs, Heartbreak Hotel. I do songs, Baby Please Don't Go, which I used to do with AC/DC. But House of the Rising Sun, which I recorded, and my own version. It's my own version of that song, nothing like any other version. And also at the end, I usually do a couple of the more popular Bon Scott songs as well, because I know the fans, they love those songs too. And Bon Scott won't mind me doing some of his songs, of course, because he used to do all of my songs when he joined the band. But I do a couple because he's not here anymore. Brian Johnson also does a couple of Bon Scott songs in his show as well. So it's just, to keep the memory of Bon Scott alive, and the damn good songs too. So it's a mixture. It's exciting, powerful, emotional, and full of energy, dynamics, and conviction.
Mate, one last question before I let you continue on this amazing journey that you're on. What's the best advice you can give to young musicians starting in the industry?
Don't do it.
It seems to be a common theme when I ask people this question.
Well, really, you just got to know that it's something that you want to do. It depends on what level you want to go to. Musicians, if they just want to play locally, that's cool. They rehearse. Okay, but yeah, then other people might want to go, tour a little bit around. Other people might want to go national. Others might want to go international. So the intensity is required for each level that you aim at. Some people believe that they'll be good around town. That's their belief, and so work hard for that. If you want to be a national act, there's a lot harder. It's a lot harder than just being the local band. You got to work damn hard, and you want to be international. Well, you got to sell your soul to rock and roll. I'll tell you that. It's just the intensity of whatever level you wish to be. I knew I had to give everything because I always wanted to be international since I remember. It wasn't just about playing locally around Sydney or anything like that. And it's just the intensity, it's everything. If you want to be international, your whole waking moment has to be music, and also you need a little bit of luck as well. But you make your own luck, of course, by getting around, moving, always moving, seeing people, talking to people. Because at the end of the day, it's who you know that's going to help you. That's always been like that. It's always been like that. So who you know with what you've got. Okay, make sure you got it when you meet that person. If you meet that person that can help you, make sure you got the goods. So it's just, that's what it is. It's all or nothing. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Dave, it's been an absolute honor. You've had an amazing career, which continues to get stronger. I look forward to the single tomorrow, Heartbreak Hotel coming up. You just keep going from strength to strength. So huge accolades across the world, mate. Congratulations. Keep going, mate. Keep going.
No, thanks so much for the interview. I really appreciate it. And just keep rocking, everyone.
Yeah. On behalf of Rockhouse Mag, mate, keep rocking yourself.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate.